Okay, so tonight we are continuing Rebbe Nachman's wisdom, and we're doing a series about prayer, okay, about tefillah, and of course this is a very appropriate thing to be doing in the month of Elul, and that I've already started slichot, and trying to get into our davening. And the truth is that the davening is one of the most important things in Judaism, and I want to speak about today to address a certain very fascinating point about tefillah, about davening, and really what we're going to get out of this class is that really some of the most important things in Judaism and in life are the things that aren't spoken out. The thing to be able to read between the lines, to be able to understand things intuitively, is actually some of the most important things. That there's always what somebody's telling you, what somebody's not telling you, and I remember that there was some Hasidic Rebbe that when he became Rebbe, so his prayer was that Hashem, please help me to answer the questions that people are not asking me. Okay? Meaning that there's one thing when somebody is they ask you a question and you give them an answer, but a lot of times that what they're asking is really covering up something that they're too embarrassed to ask, and sometimes it could be related, sometimes it could be unrelated, and there's a lot going on in life under the surface of what's not really being stated, and so I think the tefillah is really a good example of the importance of such a thing. Now, the question that I want to start the class with is that being the prayer is such a fundamental thing in Judaism. Where do we see the prayer is so fundamental? So, first of all, it's the very first Mishnah is about prayer. The first tractate in the entire Gemara is about brachot, which is about prayer. It's about Shema and Shemona Esrei and all of the tefillot. And so, that certainly says something. And there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that says that that there's three things that the world is dependent on: ala Torah, ve'ala Veda, ve'ala Gemilut Chasadim. That Torah is the study of Torah, and Gemilut Chasadim is acts of kindness. And avodah, so it has two meanings. The first meaning is that it's the service in the temple, but the Gemara says clearly that when there is no temple, so then the avodah is referring to the avodah shebelev, the service of the heart, which is a reference to prayer. Okay, so in other words, that the Mishnah is saying that prayer is one of the three fundamental things in the world, that without these three things, that the world wouldn't be able to exist. That's when that the world is standing on three things, meaning that if it wouldn't be for these three things, then the world would just collapse. It wouldn't justify its existence. Okay, so if it's so important, if it's so critical, so then you would expect it to have a very significant appearance in the Torah. Okay, and what's very interesting is that it does not. In fact, the tefillah, the concept of prayer, is actually only a rabbinic mitzvah. Okay, so if prayer is only rabbinic, the opinion of the Rambam is that you are obligated to speak out to God, to reach out to God once a day in your own words, in some kind of minimalistic way, but the kind of prayer that we're used to is absolutely rabbinic, and according to the Ramban, which I believe is the more accepted approach, is that the whole concept of prayer, except for extreme circumstances, is only rabbinic, and so it's very counterintuitive if it's such a critical thing. The world wouldn't exist without prayer, so then why should it only be rabbinic? You would think that the more important things are biblical and the less important things are rabbinic. And so if something that's so important like this, you would think that it would make it to the Ten Commandments. You would think that it makes it to the top three. And not only is it not in the Ten Commandments, it's not even in the 613 at all. Okay, so to understand this, so I want to try to analyze what the essence of prayer is, and this might give us a sort of understanding of why it needs to be like this. So, the word tefillah, when we talk about the concept of prayer, so the word tefillah in Hebrew, so Rashi explains that it has to do with another word which is patil. That the word tefillah and patil is really the same letters, just mixed up a little bit. And a patil is a wick, and a wick is specifically made of a bunch of threads which are twisted together. Okay, and when the Torah talks about patil, so it uses patil as a verb of tying, of like it's a way of connecting something.
It's in the Shema. It's in the Shema, right?
Patil techelet, right? Is there, and lifatel is a way of saying to tie something. So the Rashi says that the word patil, which is the source of the word tefillah, is the meaning is connection. Okay, the meaning is connection. So what's the connection? That it's a connection between us and God. Okay, so the essence of prayer is connecting. Okay, so that being said, so it's if you're connecting. So what does it mean you're connecting? You're not touching him, right? You're not. I don't know. You're not doing anything together. You're not hanging out. You're not. So what is the connection? So the connection is a connection of consciousness. Okay? That your consciousness is connected to his consciousness, and that's the connection that we're talking about. So by definition, if prayer is about connection, and the connection that's going on is a connection of the consciousness, so that requires that your prayer is something conscious. Okay? So this already debunks the concept that prayer is about saying words. Okay? And the whole concept of prayer is about being conscious, about feeling connection, and that's why you find the fascinating thing that prayer is the one thing that you can't fake. That there's people that are not spiritual. I've told you about the church of the spiritual but not religious. So there's also church. There's also the yeshiva of the religious but not spiritual. Okay, so what's the religious but not spiritual? You have people that they're not spiritual. They don't really think about God. They don't really feel God. They're not even sure about God, but they're religious. I'm religious. Like I keep Shabbat, I keep kosher, I daven, I do whatever I'm supposed to do. That's like it works for me, Like I never had a desire to eat shrimp. I'm into keeping mitzvahs, and I believe that it's the right thing to do. It's my culture. It's my heritage. It's like. It could be that there's other added things that's going to give to my life, but I don't go for this whole connecting with God business. I don't feel God. God is not part of my life. I don't know what this means even. And so there's people. So they're sometimes very intellectual. They're sometimes they love learning Torah. They love learning Torah. That you have people. Like Torah can be a very intellectual pursuit. And there's like stories that in the Volozhin yeshiva. So there were people. There was these maskilim. There was these enlightenment members that they were like off the derech, and they would learn the whole week, and then they would write down all their notes on Shabbos. Okay,
My teacher called it a relationship with the Shulchan Aruch.
Wow. Okay. So no, it's not the Shulchan Aruch. He's going against the Shulchan Aruch.
Oh, I mean the other thing, like the religious but not spiritual, like. You do everything, and like your relationship is with the laws instead of like what the laws are supposed to connect you to.
Okay, yeah. So now you have people that they were into Torah, but not even keeping Shabbos. Okay, and you can have people that because they like Torah, they like mitzvahs, but when it comes to God, God turns them off. They don't. The part of their soul that's supposed to be spiritual, it just doesn't exist. Okay, so these people, what's very fascinating is that they can do everything in Judaism except davening. That prayer for them is poison. It's poison. It's the most boring part of their day, if they even do it. And if they do it, I think I told you about a certain famous influencer that was once interviewed, and he was talking about his relationship with prayer, and And he says, well, to be honest, because of my philosophical leanings, which I understand from the Rambam, so like I don't really connect with prayer because in the philosophical world that I've built for myself, so there's no such thing as prayer. So basically, when my friends want to zip through davening, so they ask me to be chazan, and I know how to get it done in 7 minutes flat, and basically he knows. He's so smart that he knows how to get it done very fast, and he's like this, he's like, if you're so focused on saying the words very quickly, then you can like be distracted from the fact that this is the most boring thing in the world to just say words, because really if you're not connected, if you don't have a relationship with God, so then prayer is poison. Prayer is the most boring experience you could possibly think. So if you have a person who's religious but not spiritual, so then it's going to show up in their prayer. Like they're going to suffer. It's going to suffer in the prayer, and the reason is because it's impossible to pray if you're not connected with your soul. Okay, if you're not, because the whole existence of prayer, the whole definition of prayer is that your soul is connecting to its creator. So this really tells us like what the very basic thing about prayer is, to have a consciousness of the fact that I'm speaking to God. Okay, and so first of all, on a practical level, so this requires a certain awareness. Okay, we were speaking about a couple of weeks ago how the word da'at is connected to the word muda'ut. That muda'at means consciousness, and in Judaism, so there's two parts of your brain. That there's the part of your brain which is cerebral, there's the part of your brain which is about gathering information, and there's a part of your brain which is about being conscious of everything that you know. Okay, and it's a part of your brain which is about connection, which is about that my consciousness is connected to this piece of information that I've just accumulated. That you can have a person that knows that it's not good to smoke, but they're not conscious. They don't live with that reality. Okay, so that means that they're lacking in da'at. They're lacking in the part of their brain which is in charge of muda'ut, which is in charge of the consciousness, not living with this consciousness of the particular truths that they know in their brain. So the consciousness of prayer is the fact that you're speaking to God. Okay, so the Chazon Ish said once that like some people they're looking for skulas. Looking for like special, like what can I do to get an easy way to get what I need, what's the best way if I want my prayers to be answered, so what should I do? So one person will say, well, if you really want your prayers to be answered, so you should go to the mikveh before davening. The other person will say, if you really want your prayers to be answered, you should make sure to give tzedakah before davening. The other person will say, if you really want your prayers to be answered, you should go to Kavana. The other person will say, if you really want your prayers to be answered, you should go to Uman. And everybody has a different idea of what's the best way to make it. And so in this context, so somebody asked the Chazon Ish, what's the best skula for if I want my prayers to be answered? So the Chazon Ish says, you want a skula? You want a skula? The best skula for getting your prayers answers is to really believe that someone's listening. Do you really when you're davening? So are you just saying words, or are you really conscious of the fact that you're talking to someone? And that consciousness, that makes all the difference. Along the same lines, it's almost the same story, but it's a little bit different with Rebbe Nachman from Breslov. That somebody was once complaining to Rebbe Nachman about the fact that every time he davens, so he starts spacing out. Okay, this is a thing that once you're davening for enough years, you get this honor of spacing out when you daven, and so it's just a crazy phenomenon that if you're trying to remember something, that you just can't remember it, so the best thing to do is to daven. And then whatever the last thing that you were thinking of, you'll remember when you're davening, because that's what happens when you space out. And so he was complaining to Rebbe Nachman that, like, I come to daven and, like, I'm thinking about the weather, I'm thinking about politics, I'm thinking about my errands, I'm thinking about this fight, I'm thinking everything like that's stressing me out. So it comes to me during davening. What do I do, Rabbi? How do I stop spacing out? And so Rebbe Nachman is like listening to him, and he's like smirking, and he's like, I'm like, Rabbi, this is serious. What are you laughing at me? So Rebbe Nachman asked him, tell me something. When's the last time that you were talking to your friend, and then you just like, oh, I'm sorry. What was I saying? That doesn't happen. I don't mean that it happens that your friend is talking to you, and then you space out. But I'm like that you were talking to somebody, and then in the middle of your speech, you said, "Oh my gosh, what was I saying?" By the way, there's a rabbi. He recently became very famous. He was always a little bit famous, but he recently became very famous. Rabbi Tzvi Kushlevsky. So he recently became very famous because he just had his first child at the age of 88. Yeah. And so I have a friend that was in his yeshiva 20-something years ago, and he told me that he had a charusa with Tzvi, and Tzvi, he at the time at least, I don't know now, at the time he was very, very sleep deprived, and so he would be in the middle of charusa, and then in the middle of charusa he would just fall asleep, but at the moment that he got up, that he would just he would doze off, and then for 2 minutes, 5 minutes later, he'd wake up, but he would, in the middle of a sentence, he would know exactly where he was. So anyway, but when you're talking, you don't space out, right? You don't. So Rebbe Nachman said that if you would really believe that someone's listening to you, so then you wouldn't space out. It's very simple. Like, you go, Rabbi, what do I do? Like, it's very simple. If you're spacing out, that means that there's a problem. That means that you're not really aware of the fact that you're talking to someone. Okay, so this idea, so it actually has a very fascinating halachic ramification. And it's not a halacha like actual halacha, but it's like a theoretical halacha ramification, and that is from a statement of Rabbi Chaim Soloveitchik. The Rabbi Chaim Soloveitchik, he is discussing a contradiction in the Rambam, that when the Rambam discusses the Kavana, the intention, the concentration, that when a person is davening, so there's a contradiction, that the question is that a person that davens without kavana, so does it invalidate his prayer or not? Okay, so in one place the Rambam sounds like he's saying that it's only in the first blessing that you have to have kavana, and in the other place it sounds like that even any part of davening, if you didn't have intention, if you didn't have kavana, then it's going to invalidate the davening. So it seems to be a contradiction. Why in this halacha does he say that? Does he imply that the entire Shemona Esrei requires kavana, and the other place he implies that only the first blessing requires kavana? So he gives a very interesting explanation that when the Rambam is talking about kavana in these two places, he's actually talking about two kinds of kavana. Okay, when you ask most people what it means to have kavana, so they'll tell you that it means to know what you're saying. Most people try it out. Ask people, what does it mean to have kavana? So they'll say to have kavana means to be aware of what you're saying, to know what the words mean. Okay, and so you have people that they, because of this, so they became a whole business. Something what's it called, interlinear translation of Art Scroll, so that every word you can Baruch Atah Hashem, so like every single word, and so then you can when you daven, so you can check every word and know exactly what you're saying. Okay, so in my humble opinion, this way of davening is completely antithetical to what davening is supposed to be, because you're getting an A++ when it comes to knowing what the words mean, but you're getting an F- in the other element. I know there's no F-, that you're getting an F- in the other kind of kavana, because Reb Chaim says that the other Rambam that's talking about, that says that any element of any bracha that you don't have kavana, it invalidates your prayer. It's talking about a different kind of kavana, and that is the intention of omed lifnei hamelech, the intention of standing before the king. Okay, meaning that one of the basic premises of davening is the awareness that I'm speaking to my Creator, and if you're standing, if you're talking, if your lips are moving with the consciousness that I'm speaking to my Creator, even if you don't know what the words are, but the mere fact that you know that I'm talking to my Creator, I don't know what I'm saying, it's gibberish to me, but I know that I'm talking to Him, so then it's a prayer. If I know what I'm saying, but I don't know who I'm talking to, so that's not called I'm praying. Okay, and as opposed to the first bracha, that when the Rambam says that you have to have kavana for the first blessing, and if you don't have kavana for the first blessing, then it's going to invalidate your prayer. So then he's talking about the kavana of knowing what the words mean. So for the first blessing, you have to actually know what the words mean. So that's why it's a good idea to prepare before, and before you daven, to look at some translation to know what the words mean. But for the rest of prayer, so even if you don't know what the words mean, it's not the biggest deal. But even for the rest of prayer, even though you don't have to you don't have to know what you're saying, but you have to know what you're doing. And you have to have this basic kavana of omed lifnei melech, of the consciousness of the fact that I'm speaking to my Creator. So that's why. So getting back to what I'm saying about the art scroll, that's why you should get the old-fashioned art scroll setter. That like the davening is that to daven that you're constantly looking at what the words mean. So then you're constantly stimulating the cerebral part of your brain, and because you're focusing on the cerebral part of your brain, you're not able to connect with the consciousness part of your brain. And it's completely impossible to be standing. If you would be standing before the king, you wouldn't be able to. Oh, hold on, let me Google translate that. You're talking to the king. It's too late for that. Whatever you're going to say. But what do you think you're doing? You're standing in front of somebody and whoa, that's so interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. Or king. It doesn't work like that. If you realize that you're talking to the king, then you can't be busy listening. It's like if you would be reading a commentary during davening, sitting with your legs crossed and saying, yeah, nice. I've had students that they come to davening, but they don't daven because they're those religious but not spiritual people. So they come to davening, but they don't daven, and they bring their parsha book. They bring their Jewish books. They sometimes he would bring a secular book also, but they bring their Jewish books. You've seen these people? No, really? No, they exist. There's a lot of them. Yeah, they want to come to shul, but they can't daven because they're not spiritual, and so that's their time to learn. So to do that, it's like you're doing that, but just with the words of prayer. It's like, sorry, pal, that's not davening.
Maybe it's like a prerequisite though, because say you were trying to stand before the king, but then all these words are coming out that you don't know what they are. What are you supposed to?
So you could prepare a different time, but right now it's too late. Right now you're standing before the king. Right?
So it's like a prerequisite to that moment.
It's not a prerequisite. It's good for the first blessing. It's a prerequisite. After that, it's extra credit. It's extra credit, but it's offensive. It's offensive to stand in front of you, and say, hold on a second. Good.
Okay.
Morning. What? That's weird. You don't. That's not respectful, right?
You don't think God appreciates that? We should understand what we're even saying to Him.
He does, but that's not the way of talking. You should. You have the other 23 hours a day to do that, and when you're talking to God, so then the most critical thing of prayer is the consciousness that you're standing before your Creator.
By that logic, then, why would you need to say, couldn't you, when you're in a time of need, whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, God, yada, yada, yada. Is that not the same thing as prayer? Is that not more important?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, that's a perfect prayer.
Okay.
I'm talking about all prayer. The essence of all prayer is the consciousness that you are speaking to your Creator. Okay? Yeah.
When you're talking about knowing the meaning of the first blessing, do you need to know the meaning of each individual word or the message of the blessing overall?
I think every word. Okay, so this actually has semi-halachic ramifications. When I say semi, I mean that according to this exclamation of Reb Chaim, so it actually has halachic ramifications that if you would realize that you were spacing out, so according to this, then you would just need to start again, or like go back to wherever the last thing where you started spacing out. But the actual halacha is not like that. The actual halacha is that we don't go back at all for anybody that didn't have kavana. If you say, oh my gosh, I just completely spaced out. So even things that according to Shulchan Aruch, that according to what it says in the Gemara, that you should go back. So the Rama says that nowadays we never go back, we never repeat. I mean that we never tell a person you should daven again for various reasons. One, there's two opposite approaches why we don't follow this halacha today. That one approach is the pessimistic approach, and one is the optimistic approach. The pessimistic approach is because we say that what are you going to do? You're going to go back, and then the second time you also won't have Kavana. Why bother, right? So that's the pessimistic approach, and the optimistic approach is because really deep down, even if you consciously didn't have Kavana, but subconsciously you did have Kavana. That actually your soul was aware, even though you didn't realize that your soul was aware. Okay, so I prefer obviously the second approach. But theoretically, that in terms of what Kavana is, the definition of Kavana of prayer is the awareness that I am standing before God. So this is connected to another idea that Rebbe Nachman talks about, and this is something that Rebbe Nachman talks about at the very beginning of the Kutei Moharan, that in Torah Bet. So we've spoken many times that Torah Aleph in the Kutei Moharan, the first teaching is a Torah about Torah, and the second teaching is a Torah about Tefillah. And Rebbe Nachman is coming to teach us with this that he believes that in the question of which is higher, is Torah higher or is prayer higher? So Rebbe Nachman is of the opinion that prayer is higher than Torah, and the goal is to elevate the Torah to prayer. Okay, and this is what he's hinting to in the fact that Torah Aleph is about Torah and Torah Bet is about Tefillah. So in Torah Bet, where he's talking about Tefillah, so he brings a very fascinating pasuk that it says Utehilati echatam lach, that my praises to you, David Melech says to Hashem, my praises I will echatam lach. So literally, echatam lach means I will finish all of my praises to you. But he notes the word echatam is connected to another word in Hebrew, which is chotem, which means nose.
Oh.
Chotem is a nose.
Oh,
that's with a tough. Right?
Okay.
Okay. Chotem with a tet is nose. Okay. So Rabbi Nachman is saying that if you really want to be good at praying, you have to know how to pray with your nose. Okay. So what's it mean? What's it mean to pray with your nose? So what's interesting about the nose is that we do two things. We do two things with our nose. Okay, we smell and we breathe. Okay? So the nose, we know, is the source of our life. That when God created Adam and Eve, so it says that He blew into His nostrils the breath of life. Okay, so the breath of life all started from our nose, and when we, I think doctors say that it's healthier to inhale through your nose. So when we're inhaling, when we're filling, we're giving ourselves life. So then it's with our nose. Okay, so it's through our nose that we get our connection to life is through our nose, and so the Rebbe Nachman talks in many places about the sense of smell. The sense of smell is about consciousness. Okay, and this is something that is very interesting. That like other places he talks about memory as being connected, being connected to smell. That a person, that they say that according to neurology, that the strongest memories of something is through the smell. That smell has the power to trigger memories much stronger than sights, stronger than sounds. Anything that the smells is extremely close to. I think even practically, I think like physically, the part of your brain which is connected to smell is simply closer to the part of your brain which is connected to memory than the other things. I think it's very simple in the way that the brain is made up. But practically, bottom line, that the smell is the most connected to memories. Okay, and I read this crazy story about this girl who was sexually assaulted, and from the day that she was sexually assaulted, she lost her sense of smell. And so apparently that her predator had a very vulgar smell, and as a subconscious defense system, so her body shut off the sense of smell in order to like as if it was protecting her. And the crazy part was that through therapy, that when as she recovered from her trauma, so she regained her sense of smell. And that's something that doesn't exist with you can't like lose your sense of sight because of a trauma and then get it back because you recover. It doesn't work. This is unique to smell. That smell is so connected to our experience. So when Rebbe Nachman says, when Rebbe Nachman is explaining what David HaMelech is saying, that when David HaMelech is saying that to daven with our nose, so what he really means is to daven with our consciousness. Okay, to be very, very present, to be very, very aware of what's going on. Okay, so now, that being said, so in Judaism, we talked about the three things that the world is dependent on Torah and Tefillah and Gemilut Chasadim, and the acts of kindness. So Judaism, if you would have to pick one of these three, so there's that in Judaism is the relationship that we have with God. So Torah is the understanding of what the rules are, of what the rules of life are, how to be good in this, this is if only before we get married we get a user's manual, this is what's going to make your spouse happy. But this is the user's manual of what's gonna make him happy, and the act of kindness is actually doing the things and doing the things that he wants done, and then you have tefillah. So what does tefillah represent? Tefillah is the communication. Okay, tefillah is that your ability to speak to each other. Okay, so in a relationship, now there's a very interesting thing of Pinchas was fond of saying that when you get married, so the husband gives his wife a ketubah, right? So what's it say in the ketubah? What does it say in the ketubah? So it's all the obligations that the husband has to the wife. Okay, the wife, by the way, doesn't have any obligations to the husband; just have to be pretty. That's it. And it says he has to make sure that she has food. He has to make sure that that he takes her to the doctor. It says that if she gets kidnapped, he has to ransom her. It says that if she dies, he has to bury her. All very romantic, and it says that. It says all the stuff that you have to buy her clothes. You have to make sure that she always has the roof to live, a roof over her head, and all the financial obligations that he has. Now, so he would ask, why doesn't it say in the Ksuba that you have to talk to your wife? Could it be that actually the Judaism doesn't believe that husbands need to talk to their wife?
Please say yes.
Isn't there a story of a man and his wife that they never once communicated, and they only use nonverbal communication as marriage? There's some sort of
Wow.
they really didn't communicate at all. He wasn't able to communicate.
There are
I'll
lots
So
find
they
the
didn't
story.
communicate?
in the world.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I'll find the story.
Okay. Well, that would sort of undermine my entire class here. So. So they had communication. Maybe they had telepathic communication.
Nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So it's so
So
good.
But they
They're
didn't,
both deaf.
no words were exchanged between them.
No words, but all the words in the world were exchanged between them, just through. Yeah. So could it be that the Torah doesn't really care if a husband speaks to the wife, right? So obviously not. Sorry. So but the thing is like this. The thing is that the communication, because communication is the essence of the relationship, so it can't come because you had to do it. And if the reason why you're saying good morning is because somebody obligated you to tell me good morning, then the good morning is actually worthless. Right? It's only that if every time that if I tell you, like, this is like next week is my birthday, and this is this is the kind of flowers I like, and this is the poem that you're going to write me, and this is the way that you should hold it, and this is the time that you should not kind of then it's worthless. Like that, what to do? I told you what to do, and I threatened you, and like that's not so romantic. It doesn't build a relationship. Doesn't build a connection. The whole reason why it's worth something is because it came from you. Now, what do you mean it came from you? You didn't just, if you're just doing whatever crosses your mind, so it's also not so romantic. So what's special about it? What's special about it is that you're able to think yourself what I want to hear, what I would like to receive. That the fact that you get me, but it's coming from you. It needs to come from you, and because it's coming from you, that's what builds the relationship. Okay, so that's why that's like to have the that you want to be in a relationship. You have to be in a relationship with somebody that you get them and they get you. That's to be able to without being told, to understand what it's coming from you, but it's what you know that they want you to be saying yourself. Okay, and so this is what communication is all about, and this is where the relationship is, to the point that we can say that the value of the relationship is actually, it's only as strong as the communication. Okay, if like the you can have, and this is why like it's always a bad idea to compare. That you can have like some like I like to tell when I teach Chatanim, I tell them this, but like I'm not such a fan of young couples eating together on Shabbos meals, because like it's inevitable that they're going to be comparing, that like you're going to be comparing that the way that he treats her, the way that she treats him, and every relationship has their own dynamics, that it's going to give you a false impression that like you're not okay, and that something is, and it's really just it's a bluff, because it's not about what you do, it's about what you understand. It's about getting each other. And you can have a person that does a lot because that's the rules that they were expected to do, and they grew to expect even more and more, and that's like, so they're doing everything for each other, but it's all because that's the rules. And you can have another couple that their rules are very more easygoing, but everything they do is very, very real, and the relationship is actually much deeper. So in a relationship, the essence of the relationship is actually the communication, and the communication by definition needs to be something which is not scripted, which is not obligated. So if God is going to say that thou shalt speak to me 3 times a day, and this is what you're going to say, so then it would be worthless. That would just take out the meaning of prayer, because the whole concept of prayer is that we are feeling something ourselves, and if he's commanding us to do it, so then it's worthless. Okay, so now you're going to ask that we do have to tell him, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what Rebbe said.
So this brings us to the point of the rabbinic mitzvahs. So this is the beauty. This is the beauty of rabbinic mitzvahs. That what is the concept of having rabbinic mitzvahs? Like it's a strange thing. Like hello, God commanded us 613 mitzvahs. Like, isn't that enough? Like, why do you have to make us problems? Rabbis are supposed to help us, no?
Amen.
Why are rabbis making us problems? They're making life so complicated. So the truth is that this is the essence of every single mitzvah d'Rabbanan. What's the essence of the mitzvah d'Rabbanan? Mitzvah d'Rabbanan is that Hashem says, these are the things that I'm telling you that you need to do. But if you're just going to do what I commanded you to do, so then our relationship is empty. Okay, the whole you tell your spouse that I need you to be home at this hour. I need you to pick something up for me if you don't mind. This is what I need from you, but you don't tell them that I need you to smile at me. I need you to tell me good morning. I need you to compliment. That those, and if you tell them you need it, then it loses its value. So because we have a relationship with God, so there needs to be things that we're giving to Him that He didn't command us to do, and that's where the rabbis come in. Because the rabbis, this is like our rabbis is if you have if you have like a best friend of your fiance that knows their all of their preferences, knows everything that they like and how to make them happy, and like what can I buy? What can I surprise them? And like you have this inside information of what I can do to make them happy. So that's what we have with the rabbis. The rabbis, that they get God better than we do. And so because they understand God better than we do, so they're helping us that we can buy His favorite chocolates. Okay? And they're telling us with all the mitzvahs d'Rabbanan, so this is precisely what they are helping us. They're just giving us advice of how to do something which is coming from me that's really going to make Him happy. Okay? And this is what the essence of every mitzvah d'Rabbanan is, and that's what Chazal are telling us when they're telling us how to do it. So they're helping us in doing something from us, which is something that He's going to appreciate. And so this is really the essence of the month of Elul. That we've said that we've spoken about this a bunch of times already. That Elul stands for Anilu Dodi V'Dodili. That I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. And so everyone comments that it starts with the Anilu Dodi. That the order is that I am to my beloved. That I'm being proactive in this relationship. That I'm not waiting for God to shower me with blessings. That I want to take responsibility for this relationship. That I want to like, okay, I'm going to surprise Him. I'm going to do something special for God, and that's why in Elul we have all these interesting minhagim, and like Sfaradim already saying slichas already, and they're like we're blowing shofar, and like we're like, how can we, like, there's no rules to Elul. It's just all these customs of just like getting really into it, and so somebody's having this Elul breathing retreat, and there's like there's no rules. There's no rules of how to do it, and because Hashem wants us to be present. Hashem wants ani l'dodi, that like I don't care what you do, but I want it to be real. I want to hear that you're interested in this relationship, and so this is really what prayer is all about, and that's why prayer, by definition, it needs to be something which is not commanded. So circling back to what the essence of prayer is. So we have a cast about his Badadut, about why it's speaking from your heart, and really that's the essence of prayer, because the essence of prayer is that it's coming from us. But the truth is that even when we're reading the script that was given to us by the sages, so to be aware of the fact that I'm saying this because I want to have a relationship with God. I'm saying this because I want to speak with God. And He actually didn't command me to say this. And I'm saying this because I'm surprising Him, so to speak. Okay, He probably gets it already that we're going to do it. But He knows that officially we're surprising Him. Okay, so this is our, so there's something beautiful about prayer, that we're being proactive, and there's something beautiful that we're being original, that we're putting ourselves into this relationship. And so really the takeaway from this perspective on prayer is that we really need to be present in our Judaism. And Judaism cannot be that we're just being told what to do and we're following rules. A person who's good at following rules, so then they have no relationship. And the relationship needs to be that, what do you have to say? What are you, what's on your mind? And like if you, and like I actually think that it's something very beautiful. There's people that like, they have their colorful way of doing Judaism their way, and like like within the guidelines of halacha, just like to have a certain melody that nobody ever had before, or to have like a certain kind of talit that nobody ever had before, or to have like a certain kind of food at the Shabbos table that nobody ever had before, and like the people, the very conservative people, like how dare you? That's not the way. I think it's very beautiful that like Hashem wants us to be present, to show up with what we have to say in our Judaism, and really that's the essence of Anilu Dodi, that's the essence of Elul, that's the essence of prayer. So l'chaim to being very proactive in our Judaism, l'chaim to being very self-aware and bringing our self-awareness into our relationship with Hashem, and l'chaim to really being in touch with our souls. And the more that we're in touch with our souls, so the more prayer will be something which will really like make us alive, and there's something that will make us connected, and something that we will love. And l'chaim to all the people that have had trouble with this until now, that they should connect with their souls, and they should be able to connect with prayer. And this is B'ezrat Hashem, what will bring us to an amazing Rosh Hashanah. B'ezrat Hashem.